Thursdays. Former head coach Eric Mangini, he told me that one time on Wednesday. Coach, we're talking the big AFC showdown between Lamar and Mahomes. Ravens, Chiefs, kale nachos, Coach. Ravens just absolutely riddled with injuries only 2 weeks in. Meanwhile, you got Patrick Mahomes coming off AFC Offensive Player of the Week honors for his 4-touchdown performance in that win over the Browns. It almost seems unfair, but the schedule doesn't care. Nice hair. Coach, it's going to be an uphill climb, but why don't you take us through your keys to the Ravens upsetting the Chiefs? There you are.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I love Thursdays even more now that Chris Broussard has a list like that. Finally, we get a list that's meaningful and impactful, and I can get that. I was taking notes.
Shots
I
fired.
had my notes up for like 10 minutes. It was so nice to see. Great job, Chris. Great job.
Boy.
Look, the things I'm going to go through, as much as I'd like to say that these are easy things to do, that they aren't, but they're really important if you're going to have a chance against Kansas City. And the first thing is you've got to disguise coverages. And we would talk about this all the time, whether it's Brady, Manning, Breeze. When you get guys of this level, the level that Patrick's at, if you're giving him more information, if you're giving him pre-snap information, then you're dead. Because if he knows it's going to go to the right spot. So if you disguise the coverages and at least force him into a post-snap read, then you've got a chance to slow down that progression. So that's the first thing that Baltimore has to do. And they're pretty good at it, and they commit to doing it. So I think that's something that we will see quite a bit of this weekend. The second key is you're going to have to find a way to deal with Kelce and Hill, and that means a lot of split safety defense, a lot of two deep safeties to where you can double team Kelce or Hill, not every single play, but enough. And this is going to make you vulnerable in the running game, but the thought process is every time that the ball is out of Mahomes' hands, that's a win. So if they want to give it to the running back and the running back gets 4 yards, that's fine. It eats up clock. It's not probably going to be the explosive plays, and you got to deal with Kelce and Hill, and you can't let their stars beat you. And then the third one is something that I've been talking about forever. That's keep Mahomes in the pocket. And I'll say this over and over and over again, broken plays with him equal big plays. And it's not to say that if he's in the pocket, he's not going to hit the big plays, but when he's out of the pocket, they're just better at what they do than you are from a coverage standpoint. And I want to show you an example of this because Nick and I have been talking about this for years. So this is actually the Ravens versus Kansas City. Yeah, this is their first matchup, and this is their first or their best opportunity to beat them over the 3 years. It's 4th and 9. The Ravens are up by a touchdown. There's 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the game, and this is the key. So Baltimore comes up, and they're disguising pressure. They've got 9 guys close to the box, and they're showing max pressure. And where this is good is it forces Kansas City to keep 7 guys in. So Kelce now is going to stay in to block initially. So is the back. And actually Conley down at the bottom, he's going to chip as well. Baltimore's only going to rush 4 guys. So now they've got 7 guys back in coverage against 2 wide receivers that are running legitimate routes. The linebacker's going to come out and be able to take away the inside initially, but you've got exactly what you want. Kansas City max protecting, you're only rushing 4, and now here it is. You got to keep him in the pocket. So to Mahomes' left, there's not really a window there. Up the middle, there's not a window there for him to step up and go. But to his right, his dominant arm, now he's got the window. Now he's got the space to extend the plays. And remember, there's only 2 receivers out in true routes. He extends the plays, throws it downfield, and it's a 48-yard completion. And this is what I'm talking about. There's 2 elements here that are really good in terms of disguising the coverage, forcing Kansas City into a situation where they've got to max protect. And then if you could just keep them in the pocket, now you've got a shot and you're probably going to win the game.
All right, that was great. That was great for a number of reasons, Coach. One is the breakdown was great, and the other is, that was maybe the moment that I started counting Super Bowls for Mahomes. They were going to lose. They were supposed to lose. Lamar was lighting the league on fire, taking over for Flacco, and they won that game. And what you're describing is not wrong, obviously. It's just so hard to do. It's why whenever people have talked about, and I brought it with me actually, the blueprint. Wilds, this I know, I appreciate you sending it to me. This is the blueprint actually, and you have it's the actual blueprint. Thanks to the greatest rapper arguably ever, Jay-Z. We hear about this blueprint, but it's very hard to execute the blueprint. And I want to and there's a reason Mahomes has owned the young quarterbacks in the AFC, and that's not just me saying it. Lamar, and I want Coach's thoughts on this in a second. Lamar said it. Remind America what Lamar said after their last meeting.
How do you get over as a team the hurdle of the Chiefs, where it seems like they're the one team that
kryptonite.
Yeah.
So you called them their kryptonite, and the numbers back it up. Now, in Lamar's defense, it's the same for all the young quarterbacks in the AFC, none of whom have ever beaten Mahomes. We can show you that. Whether it's Baker or Lamar or Herbert or Josh Allen, they've all played Mahomes. They've all gone home with losses. Little unfair to Herbert in that he's only played him once and it was his first career start, but still loss and loss. So, Coach, you were talking X's and O's standpoint. I just want to throw it back to you quickly here. When Lamar basically, says to the world, they hold over on us, does that carry over? Like, is there a psychological component that in this game in particular, Baltimore needs to get out to a good start because they have had such, no success against Kansas City?
Well, I don't love the idea of anybody saying that one team is their kryptonite and going into the week with that mindset, right, especially because every year is so different. And if you're walking into the game thinking that it's a problem, and that used to happen in New England all the time, where teams would come to play us and we could feel that they were already a little bit on the downside because they had bought into the hype, they had bought into the idea that they couldn't beat us, and that's the last thing that you want from a coaching standpoint. In terms of mindset or being able to push this forward, I think that it's not about a good start, Nick, and we saw that with Cleveland. Kansas City has the ability to score at any moment, and it's got to be a disciplined, consistent effort. And if anything, you better be a really good finisher as opposed to a good starter, because Kansas City is a little bit like those fighters that come out cold. Oftentimes they give up the lead, and then suddenly they get into the game, and now they get hot, and then they get explosive. So a good start would be a great thing, but more importantly, it's a disciplined, consistent approach throughout the course of the game.
All right, Coach, love the list, the keys, but it's all defense. All right, and the Ravens obviously are a great defensive team, or have been. And the last 3 years when they've lost all 3 games to Kansas City, they had top 3 defenses. And they still couldn't hold down Mahomes and the Chiefs. They held them to 27 the first time they had a chance to win 3 years ago. But the last 2 times, Mahomes has scored 33 and I believe 34 points against Baltimore. So looks like they're going to score, because I don't think Baltimore's defense is as good as it was in the previous few years. So offensively, is it just typical, look, let's run the football, try to eat up clock? They still have a good running game, as we saw last week, even without all those injured running backs. But is that the game plan offensively, or how do they,